Hello and welcome everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. A few months ago we reviewed the Qanba 2 and not so long after that we reviewed the Qanba Titan. And today we are going to be reviewing the Qanba Obsidian 2, which is the second generation of the original Qanba Obsidian 1. Here is a fun fact. Since the release of the original Obsidian, this has been the most popular arcade stick in fighting game tournaments. If you pay attention to the older tournaments and look at the controllers, you notice a lot of players use this arcade stick. So now that Qanba has released the second generation of the Obsidians, we're going to take a look and see what it's all about and see if it's worth the upgrade. Now let's begin. First, let's unbox the arcade stick. It comes with the regular pull tab, and then you just lift. This is a heavy box. So when you open the arcade stick, it looks like this. And then we take out the whole arcade stick. This is a heavy duty arcade stick. So it looks like this. Right? We got the foam on one side, other side, and it is wrapped in a plastic bag to prevent dust and scratches. The first thing that you're going to notice when you take it out of the box, it is the weight of the arcade stick. This weighs about 7.5 pounds. It is on the heavier side of the spectrum in terms of arcade sticks. Just to give you a reference, the Qanba 2 weighs about 2.5 pounds. The Qanba Titan weighs about 5 pounds. And the recently released Hori Alpha weighs about 5.5 pounds, and this weighs 7.5 pounds. So, but if you find 7.5 pounds to be too much, you can actually remove a metal plate inside the arcade stick, which I'm going to show you later in the video. Let's take a closer look at the Obsidian 2. It comes in a matte black design with a piano black glossy finish. I say it goes pretty well together. Anytime you have a glossy surface, you know it's going to be a fingerprint magnet, but it is okay. You can just easily wipe it down. Treat it as a reminder to wipe down your arcade stick after use, because over time sweat and dust builds up. Next, let's go over the standard buttons. Over here, we have your PlayStation button, L3, Turbo, Share button, the Mute button, R3, your Options button, and over here we have some switches. One of them is for your D-pad, left stick and right stick. One is for PS5, PS4, and PC. And most importantly, we have the lock button. In case you're in a tournament, you want to lock your arcade stick so you don't accidentally press any of the option buttons. Over here, we have the trackpad. I'm actually not a big fan of the trackpad being here because it looks very tight at this corner and there's not enough space. And I don't like this plastic coming out because it kind of takes away the overall shape of the arcade stick. It just looks like it's not supposed to be here, but that's a personal preference. And the last thing up here is the headphone jack. I'm also not a big fan of the gap that is created for the headphone jack. I wish it was like flush and flat instead of making the plastic go in to meet the headphone jack. Instead, make the headphone jack come out so it would be like a flat surface with just like the tiny hole for the headphone jack. But that's just a personal preference. Also, I'm not a big fan of the location of the headphone jack. I wish it was somewhere else or wireless, because if you're using a headphone, right, it feels like it is in the way if you're hanging it across. So definitely it cannot be across, but if it's on the side, it also feels like there's something here, so it's not as comfortable. So I wish that there was a different location for the headphone jack. Moving on to the biggest change on the Obsidian 2 is the side panels. But before that, let me show you how it looks on the original Obsidian 1 so you can have a comparison. Right here we have the original Qanba Obsidian 1, which is a beautiful and well-made arcade stick. And on both sides, we have blue LED lights. And you control the LED lights with this LED button. You can choose to have the LED lights stay on all the time, or you can choose to have the LED on this side to blink as you press the buttons. Or you can choose the LED lights to blink on this side when you move the joystick lever. So I think this is a very cool idea, and it makes the Obsidian 1 stand out from a lot of arcade sticks at the time. Moving back to the Obsidian 2, the LED lights are removed in exchange for two removable side panels. As you can see, The side panels are held with 2 metal screws. I do like the design of the metal and the overall shape of the side, and I think it's a clever idea. So let's screw it open and see what's inside. Let's take this out. So I like how the screws stay onto the panels, that way you don't lose them when you take them out. But if you want to take them out, you can just unscrew it even more. It will come out. Alright, so on this side it houses an extra bathtub. It looks like it has a polygon design. And on the other side it houses the cable for the arcade stick. And this is not a detachable cable. For an arcade stick that's $350 with tax and shipping, you know, it's kind of disappointing that we don't have a detachable cable. So when you take out the cable, and the cable kind of just comes out on the side here, it goes through this little hole, and then you just put it back together like that. Before we open up the arcade stick, let's briefly talk about the top and the bottom. On the top here, we have a Relix layout, and the Obsidian 2 is using a Sanwa JLF lever with the square gate because you can feel the 4 corners. And on the right here, we have 8 30mm Sanwa buttons. Although we love Sanwa parts, I wish that Qanba would have given us Qanba gravity parts. Because if you make your own products, right, it makes sense to put your own lever and buttons in the arcade stick. And on the bottom here, we have a full-size rubber pad, and this is going to prevent your arcade stick from sliding around the table as you play. One thing I'm surprised to see on the Obsidian 2 is the little opening. This little opening belongs to the Qanba Drone series. What it does, it allows you to tighten the ball top or bat top, or switch out to a bat top and the ball top without the need of unscrewing all the screws and then opening up the whole back case. Although it is very useful and is very handy, I don't think it belongs in the Obsidian 2. I don't think this belongs in an expensive arcade stick. Instead, we should have gotten like an easy access to the internals, not the little small hole. To open up the arcade stick, we just need a Phillips screwdriver, and we need to remove 8 screws. After you remove the screws, simply just lift the back plate, and as you notice, the back is quite heavy. It's because there is a metal plate attached onto the back. This metal plate is about 2 pounds. As I mentioned before, if you find the arcade stick to be a little bit too heavy, you can remove this, and this will knock the weight down to about 5.5 pounds for the arcade stick. Looking at the inside of the Obsidian 2, it looks very spacious. There's so much space everywhere that I feel like there is so much potential for Qanba to do more with this arcade stick. Hopefully in the future models we can have maybe like they can add a hinge somewhere to give us that easy access to the internal. Maybe some type of cable management in here because there's more spacious than one of the sides. Maybe Bluetooth wireless connectivity to headphones or your consoles and PC, and I feel like they can do more. Other than that, inside is very straightforward. You have your Sanwa JLF with the square gate, and you have your Sanwa buttons over here. All the cables here are easy plug and play, so if you ever want to try out other parts, you can just simply unplug these cables or unplug this cable and swap out to a different lever or different buttons. Now this part I will be removing the Sanwa JLF lever and putting on other mounting plates and a lever to see if they fit into the arcade stick. First up, we have the Hori Hayabusa. We're going to see if it fits. Alright, it looks like it fits. And now we're going to see if the lid closes. It closes. Next up, we're going to see if the Semisu fits. So this one is a little bit bigger and it looks like the magnet is in the way, so we have to take this out and place it somewhere else. Alright, so it does fit, and we're going to see if the lid closes. Yes, it does. Semisu is okay. And the next one up is a Korean lever. This is the Crown 309 MJ. Korean levers are usually taller, so let's see if this one fits. Alright, we're going to leave it down here, and let's see if the lid closes. Yes, it does. And lastly, I have an unbranded lever at home that requires a lot of space, so let's see if this one fits. Alright, it looks like it does. And let's see if the lid closes. Yes, it does. Alright, so I have tested many of the joystick levers that I have at home, and they all fit into the Obsidian 2 with no issues. At first, I was kind of worried because it has the same mounting style as the Qanba Titan, where the Qanba Titan had a spacing issue with the threaded holes. Some of the joystick levers and mounting plates does not fit in the Titan. And I have tested this one. The spacing between the threaded holes are correct, and you don't have to worry. All the mounting plates and joystick levers will fit into the Obsidian 2. In conclusion, after reviewing the Obsidian 2, it kind of just left me with a lot of questions. Like, was there an opportunity to give us a software so we can do more with the arcade stick? Was there an opportunity to give us a easy access to the inside, right? Was there a opportunity to give us a detachable cable, right? Was there an opportunity to give us a wireless option? Because a lot of arcade sticks in the $100, $200 price point have those features, and this is past $300. And was there an opportunity to give us your own Qanba gravity parts instead of Sama parts? Even though we love Sama and Sama is excellent, you know, we sometimes want something different because Sama is more common and it's easily accessible. You know, what if you give us something that's exclusive that you can only get from buying this arcade stick, right? Some exclusive special gravity Qanba parts, right? That would add more value to this arcade stick, right? That would give us an extra excuse to buy a new arcade stick, you know, to make the purchase a little bit more worth it. For example, Hori back then had an arcade stick with metallic silver buttons and lever that you can only get from buying that arcade stick. You know, something like that to give the buyer something special when buying a new product. So personally, I don't think that they put that much thought into designing the Obsidian 2. Maybe if this was the very first Obsidian that they had to build from scratch, right? I wouldn't be as harsh. But they had this to work off from, right? You had this to reference from. So we had bigger expectations for the second generation. So some may even argue this is a downgrade from the original one. So I don't know what's going on over at the Qanba headquarters because they used to lead the industry. The drone used to be, you know, the best entry-level arcade stick with the best price. This one of the best arcade stick, one of the most popular arcade stick in tournaments. The Qanba Dragon, the best and coolest looking arcade stick I ever seen. But the 2023 lineup of the Qanba Drone 2, the Titan, and the Obsidian 2 feels like a rush product. Before I end this video, I would like to share with you how I would redesign this arcade stick personally. So first, I would put the cable in the middle, you know, because I like things to be center. And this little gap here kind of bothers me because it's drawing too much attention. It doesn't really need a big gap for a headphone jack. It can just be the port, you know, the tiny circle itself, okay? And the curve on the left and then the straight edge on the right kind of bothers me, and it's a little bit off center, so I would move that to the left a little bit. And the top here coming out kind of bothers me, and I feel like the trackpad doesn't really fit at this corner because it's kind of tight. It creates this like rectangle on the right, but when I look on the left, it's not here. It's not balanced to me. So I kind of would like to change it to something like this. So we have the cable in the middle, and we have all the buttons center, and we remove this and we remove the gap. It's gonna look a lot more clean and minimal. You know, we don't have all these clutter on the top, on the face of the arcade stick. Okay, nothing crazy. It's just, you know, a random idea that I have. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. I just copy and paste some other buttons and paste it on here, but you know, just an overview of what I was thinking. Okay, but what I like that Qanba did with the Obsidian 2 is that having the sides come out, but I wish that they went further with the idea. So for imagine if the sides can actually come out. Let me put it right here. Imagine if the sides come out like that, right? And if the sides can be external battery packs that charges and powers the arcade stick if it was wireless. And you can also have USB ports on both sides of the battery pack, and then if you plug the cable and it can charge your phone, your tablets and your headphones and things like that. How cool would that be, right? And because they're battery packs, they're gonna have they're gonna have weight on it. So if you want to be the arcade stick to be heavier, you can just slide them on. And if you want to use it as a lighter arcade stick, right? If you want to travel with it or go to your friend's house, leave the battery packs at home and just bring the cable, and then you have yourself a smaller arcade stick, you know, that's lighter, you know. It's versatile, right? So it's totally up to you, but it's giving us options and customization. So I really like that, and I wish they did something like that. Also, another idea is maybe just leaving them empty, giving us extra space for an extra detachable cable, or put personal items in it, like, you know, screwdrivers or credit card money and things like that. Another idea would be maybe making them light up like LED lights. You know, there's so much potential you can go with this idea. So I think maybe in the next generation, in the future, they can give us more features and make it, you know, give us more cooler ideas for this arcade stick. All right. So speaking of the detachable cable, we're just gonna move on to our next slide. So remember, the original Obsidian one has a logo in the front, but they removed it on the 2. So we can basically keep the logo on the 2 for the detachable cable. So imagine if you can slide this to the left or right, which reveals a USB port for the detachable cable. How cool would that be? And you can leave the detachable cable in one of the 2 sides, or inside the arcade stick if it opens up. And speaking of opening up, which leads us to the next slide, right? Imagine if the Obsidian 2 was to look like this, where you can open it up if you press that button. So that button doesn't have to be sliding to show the USB port. It can be a button to open up the arcade stick, but you can play around with that button, that logo, you know, to fit whatever idea that you have. And then you have the size that can come out. And I wish that Obsidian 2 could have done something like this. I don't think it's that hard, because these things exist. You know, you just they just have to put some thought into it and put it together. You know, the pressing the buttons, the sliding, the things coming off, they exist in, you know, existing products. It's just that if they want to put it on an arcade stick. So this is just my idea of how we can like make the Obsidian 2 a little bit more fun. You know, for a $300 arcade stick, I think it can give us a little bit more. Now we're back to the conclusion. So aside from not meeting my personal expectations and the lack of quality of life features, the Obsidian 2 is still an excellent arcade stick in terms of effectiveness. It is very responsive. You won't be disappointed in that aspect, okay? But if you want to save some money, I recommend getting the Obsidian one. I think it's about $200 right now, and it will work for PC, PS3, PS4, and PS5. It will work with Street Fighter 6. And if you don't mind spending the money and you like the matte black finish of the Obsidian 2, go for it. It is a solid arcade stick. And you also have a third option. Since you're already at the $300 price point, if you don't mind spending a little bit more, you can go for the Victrix Pro Fight Stick. And that arcade stick is going to give you a lot of that quality of life features that is missing from the Obsidian 2. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. As you guys know, I don't make the most entertaining videos. My goal is just to give you as much information as possible to help you make the best choice when it comes to your fighting game experience. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe is always helpful for a small channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.